Good evening. Hope everybody is doing alright tonight. So I want to make something clear before we get started. My intent is not to rail against any channels or any creators or anything like that. My intent is that you have the proper information that you need to make an educated and informed decision. I think you're owed that. And so when I see people saying things that are misleading, that could be to the average person's detriment that don't know any better, I'm going to speak up. And so that's why I clipped out the beginning of last night's show and put it up as its own video this morning because people need to understand this. The lifespan, the life expectancy of either a semi-flexible or a portable type of a foldable panel compared to a rigid panel, night and day. Night and day. And folks need to be told about that. So I sat there and I got to thinking, why would he even have brought that up in the way in which he did? Now, I could be just paranoid, but he did a video one day, and I think it was one of his videos where he did a contest, I believe. And I asked him in a comment, and I'm talking about pinball preparedness, if he could maybe, I don't know, shoot a message to whoever his contact is with Wellbots and see if they could offer me a deal on the setup that I got. And the reason being is because there is a website that does have a deal on very similar to what I got. And I even mentioned it, and I even mentioned the cost right in the comment because I was just trying to be transparent. And I thought, well, maybe, maybe if this guy don't offer this, maybe I could get, even if it was the same price, yeah, I'm about keeping it in the family, so to speak, too. Yeah, why not? So I was going to try to go that route. The set that I saw is right here. It's on a website called shopsolarkits.com. And this is the deal that I saw. For $16.59, you get the EcoFlow Delta. Actually, it's the 1300. They've got the numbers swapped there. And they call it a quad kit. Comes with 4 100-watt rigid solar panels. Okay? And not a bad deal. They throw in a set of 30-foot 10-gauge solar cables. They throw in... I'm not a fan of these type of branch connectors that they throw in here. I can't have to find them on another pic. I'm not a big fan of the branch connectors that they provide. Those right there. But nonetheless, not that big of a deal. So I was just going to see if either I could get, a better deal, ideally, right? If not, even the same deal or whatever. But I've never heard of I don't know these cats. And, if somebody's been working with the prepping community and stuff like that, I'm all about spending money their way. But not only did I not get a reply, but I'm assuming it was Pinball that deleted my comment. Now, I thought it could have been YouTube, but now I'm pretty certain. And so anyway, last night, the cat happened to mention, his snide comment about who would want, permanent panels on a portable, It's the whole point of it being portable. Yeah, dumbass. It's still portable. Yeah, it kind of pissed me off, his comment. Because he's misleading all those people that are watching his channel into thinking that it's across the board a better idea to go with a portable panel. And that is so incorrect. But we're the bad guys when we point this stuff out. Now, I didn't go this route. I'll be transparent with you, as always. I ordered the items individually on Amazon and was able to even get them cheaper, and it came out to like just under $1,472. And that was 4 Renogy 100-watt panels, the EcoFlow Delta 1300, and 2 10-gauge 20-foot, or not two, just one set. One set of 20-foot 10-gauge solar extension cable. So 10 feet shy of what this deal here got you. However, a better set of branch connectors. So, again, worked out cheaper. And all I was doing was looking for a little better deal. So, that cat at Wellbots might want to know, not only is he giving out information that ain't necessarily kosher, but I don't think that Wellbot sells the rigid panels. I've looked, so I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I apologize, but I have looked. And all I see is all portable panels there. I don't see any rigid. So there's your motivation as to why, in his opinion, you would be a complete idiot to use a permanent panel in a portable application like a solar generator. And I guarantee you that this company is selling these hot off the shelf like you wouldn't be able to believe. I guarantee you. One of the items that the cables, the 20-foot 10-gauge cables, extension cables, I'm hoping I can even get them. They were there when I ordered, but now all 4 different options of cables that they have on their page, Renogy, all of them are unavailable. And I got a tracking number, says it was shipped, but it hasn't shown that FedEx has even gotten it yet. So there might be one hell of a run right now on solar. I don't know if that's the case or not. There might be. But, man, all I can say is these folks that want to play me as an idiot when it comes to this stuff, pardon my language, but you might want to take a step the fuck back. Because I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. And I've been doing this stuff. My first solar panel was a Radio Shack kit. A little bubbly looking solar panel thing that just barely enough to run the little motor that came with it. I was playing with solar back then. And I've kept up with it the entire time because I love the technology. I love alternative energy technology. Anything to be able to give the big energy companies the middle finger gets a thumbs up from me. I'm just saying. But that's the thing now. Is I guess it's all about selling you whoever's goods. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's a bunch of back scratching going on. And I don't know. I don't think that he's getting monetarily compensated or anything, but he gets sent a bunch of free stuff all the time. So I don't know. My soul cost a hell of a lot more than that. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, I'm sure that that panels and parts and stuff like that are starting to get hard to find. That's why I was elated to have already gotten these panels in, and they're here. They're secure. I've tested them, kind of just a quick test, but they all four put out power. So I'll do a better test as soon as the unit gets here. And that, I guess, will be here tomorrow. So it didn't make it today either, but it's getting warmer. I'm not a fan of FedEx whatsoever. My least favorite carrier. But anyway, I just want people to be clear. I'm not making anything. Unless you use that Amazon link in the description, I'm not making anything on anything. So I don't care where you go to get your stuff. I just want you to have all the information up front so you can say, yeah, okay, well, I don't mind the shorter life expectancy of a portable panel for the convenience, fine. But you need to know that up front. You need to be told that up front. And, I think that's only fair. On the same note, you may not have the extra money because those portable panels are quite pricey. You may not have that extra money. But you could buy a lot more bang for your buck by using rigid panels. It would be foolish for you not even to be presented with the option simply because somebody doesn't sell it. Well, maybe they need to start selling them. I don't know. Anyway, gonna get off that. We do got a fair bit of news to cover here. I just got bleeped with something else. I don't know what it is yet. Anyway, so not long ago, unfortunately, there was another shooting, and I guess we're gonna lead off with that since it just happened. This time in Tulsa. As the headline says, 4 killed in shooting at Tulsa Medical Building, shooter dead. Says here 4 people were killed, Wednesday in a shooting at a Tulsa Medical Building on a hospital campus, a police captain said. Police Deputy Chief Jonathan Brooks confirmed the number of dead and said the shooter also was dead, apparently from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was unclear what prompted the deadly assault. However, the unidentified gunman fired both a handgun and a rifle during the attack, Brooks said. Officers are currently going through every room in the building, checking for additional threats, police said in a Facebook post just before 6 p.m. We know there are multiple injuries and potentially multiple casualties. Police responded to the call 3 minutes after dispatchers received the report and made contact with the gunman 1 minute later, Brooks said. Police Captain Richard Muhlenberg also said multiple people were wounded and that the medical complex was a catastrophic scene. Police and hospital officials said they are not ready to identify the dead. St. Francis Health System locked down its campus Wednesday afternoon because of the situation at the Nato Medical Building. The Nato building houses an outpatient surgery center and a breast health center. Tulsa resident Nicholas O'Brien, whose mother was in a nearby building when the shooting occurred, told reporters that he rushed to the scene. They were rushing people out. I don't know if some of them were injured or just have been injured during the shooting, but some of them couldn't walk very well, but they were just kind of wobbling and stumbling and getting them out of there, he said. I was pretty anxious, so once I got here and I heard that his mother was okay, the shooter had been shot and was down, I felt a lot better. It still is horrible what happened, O'Brien said. Then, of course, they're going to go into all the other shootings and everything just to make sure you fear, right? Because that's the way it goes. I think you're going to see this continue. I think it's going to get stupid. I mean, plain stupid. Keep your heads on a swivel. And if you illegal to carry with you, do so. I do think it's going to get stupid. I think it's nature, with everybody getting crunched even harder and harder and harder. You're going to see this. You're going to see more acting out. You're going to see much more violence, and I think you're going to see. I think you're even going to see violent food riots, for lack of a better word, I guess. That's what it's going to turn into. But I think initially, I don't think they're going to be riots. But I do think that there are going to be people in the streets because of the food prices and all the other nonsense going on. I don't think that that's real far off, to tell you the truth. Hey, man, naps in a chair are important. And coffee. Coffee and naps in a chair. And sometimes at the same time, even. I seriously will be drinking coffee and kick back for a cat nap. What? Nah. All right, so let's get to business on what's going on around the world. Situation's not getting any better. More moves are being made by the day that are deepening the situation. Today is absolutely no exception to that. As you see here, U.S. to send more advanced rocket systems to Ukraine, says Biden. The U.S. will provide Ukraine with more advanced rocket systems, President Joe Biden revealed in an article published in the New York Times on Tuesday. Washington agreed to send multiple rocket launchers after Kiev gave assurances that the long-range weapons will not be used to strike Russian territory, several media outlets reported on Tuesday, citing White House officials. The M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system, the HIMARS, can hit targets as far as 50 miles away. The planned shipments are reportedly part of a $700 million military aid package for Ukraine that is due to be announced on Wednesday. The deal is said to also include more Javelin shoulder-fired anti-tank missile systems, various radars, and ammunition. Biden signed a bill last month that provides Kiev with $40 billion worth of aid. In his article, Biden wrote that he had decided to provide the Ukrainians with more advanced rocket systems and munitions that will enable them to more precisely strike key targets on the battlefield in Ukraine. Biden added that Washington does not seek a war between Russia and Nato or a regime change in Russia. As much as I disagree with Mr. Putin and I find his actions an outrage, the United States will not try to bring about his ouster in Moscow, Biden wrote. We are not encouraging or enabling Ukraine to strike beyond its borders. We do not want to prolong the war just to inflict pain on Russia. Oh yeah? That's what I thought exactly you were doing. The U.S. leader stressed, however, that his country will continue to pressure Russia with sanctions, the toughest ever imposed on a major economy. And you know what? Those sanctions are hurting everybody else more than it's hurting them. It's insane. Coffee. Russia sounds alarm on risk of direct conflict with the U.S. Here it says Washington's arming of Ukraine with heavier weapons increases the risk of direct U.S.-Russia confrontation, regardless of American statements about mitigating such a possibility. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said on Wednesday. The diplomat was commenting on the news that the U.S. has decided to supply HIMARS multiple rocket launchers to Ukraine. Washington has insisted that the weapon system will not allow Ukrainian forces to attack Russia and argues it prevents a scenario in which Moscow would consider the U.S. a party to the conflict. We're not providing any weapons that will allow the Ukrainians to attack Russia from inside of Ukraine, and President Joe Biden has been very clear on that. U.S. Representative to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield said of the deliveries, "We're not going to become a party to the war." Ryabakov disagreed with the rationale, saying the U.S. was making the conflict more dangerous. Any arms supplies which continue and escalate increase the risk of such a development, Ryabakov told journalists, referring to the possibility of a direct confrontation between Russia and the U.S. The diplomat added that the U.S. for years has done nothing to prevent an escalation of tensions with Russia over Ukraine. It stonewalled Moscow's last-ditch attempts to negotiate a legally binding deal that would have addressed Russian concerns over NATO expansion in Europe. He pointed out, after open hostilities broke out in February, the remnants of a healthy attitude to the situation were shattered, he said. Washington maintains its course of what we characterize many times as an intention to wage war to the last Ukrainian, which reflects the goal of inflicting, as they say themselves, the strategic defeat of Russia. This is unprecedented. This is dangerous, Ryabakov said. So, again, it's definitely not getting any better. Then here, the U.S. confirmed new heavy weapons for Ukraine. I'll just read the first bit here. It says U.S. President Joe Biden formally confirmed on Wednesday that Washington will be sending HIMARS rocket artillery systems to Ukraine as part of the latest security assistance package to Kiev. The launchers will come with battlefield munitions, No, they won't come with missiles. They'll just have battlefield munitions. As Biden and multiple officials in his administration have insisted that the U.S. doesn't want Ukraine to strike targets inside Russia. Thanks to the additional funding for Ukraine passed with overwhelmingly bipartisan support in the U.S. Congress. Funny how that works, right? But how are you doing again? The United States will be able to keep providing Ukraine with more of the weapons that they are using so effectively to repel Russian attacks, Biden said in a statement published by the White House. And it says, package will include new capabilities and advanced weaponry, including HIMARS with battlefield munitions. And then later on they're going to say, well, we didn't give them anything that they could shoot out of it. Germany to send Ukraine one of its most modern weapons. It's not just the United States. Germany will send more advanced weapons to Ukraine, Chancellor Olaf Scholz told Parliament on Wednesday. Among other items, the government has decided to deliver Iris-T air defense systems to the country, he said. The missiles were originally an air-launched European replacement for the U.S.-made AIM-9 Sidewinder. A ground-launched radar-guided variant called Iris-T SL also exists. There are two versions of the system for short-medium-range engagement. Reports emerged in mid-May that the German government was considering sending such inventory to Ukraine, with sources saying Kiev could deploy them by November. Scholz said the air defense systems were the most modern in German stockpile and would enable Ukraine to protect an entire major city from Russian airstrikes. So as you can see, they're definitely upping their ante. It just blows my mind. China explains reason for show of force near Taiwan. Now they're saying China said it deployed warplanes and warships near Taiwan as a show of force a week after U.S. President Joe Biden vowed to defend the island. Beijing has conducted a joint combat readiness security patrol involving multiple services and arms in the waters and airspace around the Taiwan island, Senior Colonel Shi Yi, spokesperson for the Chinese People Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command, said on Wednesday. She added that the maneuver was a response to the collusion activities between the U.S. and the Taiwan Independence Forces. The spokesperson also argued that Washington's support for the Taipei authorities would put Taiwan in a dangerous situation and bring serious consequences. Beijing considers Taiwan, which is self-governed, it's part of its territory. She said the PLA was training to resolutely thwart any external forces, interference, and secessionist attempts in Taipei. So, and I reported on that those aircraft yesterday, I believe it was, that incursion. China's neighbor expects attack on Taiwan, says a poll. This here says an overwhelming majority in Taiwan think their country should be making preparations for a Chinese military assault on Taiwan, according to a poll released by Nikkei Asia on Monday. That view is shared by more than 90% of respondents to a survey conducted between May 27th and 29th. A minority of 41% believe Japanese laws should be revised to respond to a possible conflict in the region, while 50% think preparations should be carried out in line with existing laws. Some 56% of 935 respondents said they support the government's proposal to boost the defense budget to 1% of GDP. Article 9 of Japan's constitution, passed after World War II, stipulates that its people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat of use of force as means of settling international disputes. So, hang on. We're going to be jumping all around the world here. Actually moving through pretty quick, it would seem. Israel simulates attack on arch rival, says media. And I'm sure you don't have to think too long and hard on who that is. Says dozens of Israeli Air Force planes have conducted nighttime maneuvers over the Mediterranean to simulate striking various targets, including Iran's nuclear facilities, the Times of Israel reported on Wednesday. The exercise was part of Israel's month-long Chariots of Fire war game and saw fighter jets scrambled from several bases in the country and sent to Cyprus, its military said on Wednesday. According to the Israel Defense Forces, the drill included long-range flights, aerial refueling, and striking distant targets. Israeli media had previously touted the simulation as the largest military drill in the country's history, with thousands of soldiers and reservists taking part. The exercise also saw Israeli troops training on various types of terrain in Cyprus. On Tuesday, Defense Minister Benny Gantz visited part of the war game that focused on fighting Lebanon's Hezbollah movement. The IDF is constantly preparing for operations and various campaigns in various theaters and will inflict a severe blow on anyone who seeks to threaten the citizens of the State of Israel, he said. So, I think they're getting ready, to be honest. I think they're practicing, to be real honest. I really do think that they're going to make a move on Iran soon. Don't dance with Turkey, Erdogan tells rival. This here says Turkey is withdrawn from dialogue with Greece. The country's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan revealed on Wednesday, a few days after saying that the Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis or something no longer exists for him. Erdogan accused Mitsotakis of sabotaging efforts to resolve long-running disputes and of trying to block deliveries of F-16 fighter jets to Turkey during a recent visit to the U.S. Greece considers Turkey's plans to upgrade its fighter jet fleet as a threat to security in the eastern Mediterranean. This dispute is not the only point of contention between the two countries, which have also conflicted claims over airspace, the island of Cyprus, and the status of several islands in the Aegean Sea, and other issues. In an address to lawmakers from his ruling party, Erdogan announced that Turkey had left a high-level Strategic Council agreement, which was sealed in 2010, and has served as a bilateral cooperation platform. By canceling the agreement, we will no longer hold bilateral talks with them, the Greeks, the Turkish leader said. So, things heating up a little bit more there as well. And if that's not enough places on the planet, South Korea brands North Korea enemy, says Yonhap. This here says South Korea's defense ministry has referred to the North as an enemy in educational materials distributed among its troops in a move that reflects Seoul's toughening stance on Pyongyang, the Yonhap news agency reported on Monday, citing South Korean officials. North Korea's provocations are security threats facing us, and as long as such security threats continue, the North's military and its regime are our enemy. The South's materials for military spirit education read. Don't you like that name? Military spirit education. Last week, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, who assumed office in early May, said in an interview with CNN that the age of appeasing North Korea is over. His comment apparently reflects a shift from the preceding liberal Moon Jae-in administration, which avoided such expressions as it pushed for closer inter-Korean ties. So, just kind of keep an eye with the South taking a harder line stance with the North. I expect to see things flare up. I mean, that should be a given, really. That's the last tab I have open. Let me grab a sip of coffee. Fuel rationing may be coming to Europe. I expected this. This is from the IEA. I expect this probably here. It says the current energy crisis could be one of the worst and longest in history, and European countries could be hit particularly hard. The head of the International Energy Agency, hang on a second. Enrique. Anyway, let me see. Where was I at? I'll just start here. In an interview with German magazine Der Spiegel, Barol said the fallout from the events in Ukraine is likely to make the current energy crisis worse than the crises of 1970s. Back then it was all about oil. Now we have an oil crisis, a gas crisis, and an electricity crisis at the same time, Barol told the publication, adding that before the ongoing events in Ukraine, Russia was a cornerstone of the global energy system, the world's largest oil exporter, the world's largest gas exporter, and a leading supplier of coal. As part of its Ukraine-related sanctions, the EU introduced restrictions on Russian fossil fuels and has pledged to gradually phase them out. So, and again, it's going to be crazy, I think, across the planet when it comes to, fuel prices, natural gas prices, propane prices, all of the above. I have been keeping an eye on, our local area here, and right now, We're showing $5.08, $5.10, $5. That's the prices here locally for gas today. So today is when I noticed that they went over $5. So that's nuts. And I think they got a long way to go. I really think they got a long way to go. I think we're going to see at very minimum over $7 a gallon. At very minimum. So we'll see. I don't want this stuff because I know what happens. But things are not looking too swift. Okay. Have another sip, couple of vapes. We'll run through the headlines and I'll run out of here. Screaming and flailing my arms above my head. Ah! Okay. Turkey explains why it scrapped NATO drills in the Black Sea. Russia cuts gas to another EU state. Germany's defense spending plan revealed. WHO sets out response to monkeypox. EU state warns of downside to Russian oil embargo. A Baltic nation tops Eurozone inflation chart. Hungary claims it received concession from EU. A U.S. fears consequences of seizing Russian assets, says New York Times. Supreme Court blocks social media law. Danish Supreme Court rules on Iraqi torture victims. Germany... Oh, I covered that one. UK power crunch may worsen. I didn't cover that one. I covered the other article about them, though. Switzerland bans NATO member from sending its arms to Ukraine. EU plotting backup plan if oil embargo fails, says media. Top UK official gets into trans debate. Kremlin responds to Ukraine's pledge on U.S. arms. Germany's iconic car maker faces lawsuit over rape and abuse. China angered by U.S. and its ally. Russian gas flows to Netherlands continue, says media. Austria makes gas payment in rubles, says media. Let's see. China responds to collusion between U.S. and Taiwan. I don't know if that's the one I read or if it was a different one. So, Ukraine's volunteer fighters trained to find mental peace, says New York Times. You know, go to your happy place. Russia not blocking Ukrainian grain exports, says Moscow. Turkey accuses NATO members of supporting terrorism. UN named solution to global food crisis. Russia explains why its grain isn't getting to Europe. Let's see. Inflation in France has peaked, says finance minister. Top Russian MP reveals when Ukraine operation might end. U.S. cyber chief admits to ops against Russia in Ukraine. Johnny Depp wins libel case against Amber Heard. We don't normally share entertainment kind of stuff, but this is kind of a big deal. German army doesn't have arms promised by Chancellor to Ukraine, says an official. Turkey to launch anti-terrorist operation in Syria, says Erdogan. Ukraine gave assurances about U.S. supplied weapons, says Blinken. And covered the shooting. So that's it. There's no more headlines. So, for tonight anyway, guarantee you there'll be plenty for tomorrow. There was actually quite a few this morning, just right off the bat. And there hadn't been in a little while. They just kind of trickled out throughout the day. But now it looks like we're gonna get back up to a healthy amount of them waiting for me when I get up. So anyway, that's what I got for you. I'm gonna make it a quick and easy night and call it at that and get out of here. So I hope you all have a good evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.